Hi there, good to have you here again. By the end of this video, I will leave you in no uncertain terms how this current generation of PAP leaders possess a totally broken moral compass. I will show you why I say that there is a crisis of moral leadership among the PAP ministers. As before, I will present you facts and figures, not empty bluster, and demonstrate to you what I mean. So stay with me. And let's start with the PAP's own words. In its blueprint called Forward Singapore, which some of you might have seen, the party now cautions against being too focused on material well-being. It tells Singaporeans not to dream about the 5 Cs. On page 12 of the document, it says, in the past, Singaporeans talked about chasing the 5 Cs: condo, car, cash, credit card, country club. Nowadays, we no longer focus on the 5 Cs. But as a society, we continue to measure ourselves and others on the same old yardsticks, the size of our paychecks or the property we own. So, the Singapore dream is now out of reach for many Singaporeans. Here's the problem. While it tells Singaporeans to go beyond looking at the property we own, its ministers look to live in huge bungalows. I'm of course referring to the Ride Out Road saga, where Ministers Vivian Balakrishnan and K. Shanmugam both rented enormous mansions to live in. Worse, they are part of the cabinet that makes policy denying Singaporeans bigger HDB flats. In 2022, a Singaporean by the name of Roy Ong wrote in the Straits Times forum asking if larger flats could be included in BTO offerings. The reason Mr. Ong cited was that a larger home, especially one with more rooms, helps address the needs of growing families and promotes multi-generational living. This may be needed as our population ages. The HDB replied, given Singapore's land constraints, HDB has to strike a balance between the size of HDB flats and ensuring an adequate supply of flats. In other words, no. Indeed, because of land constraints, the average living space of a Singaporean living in a typical flat is about 26 square meters per person. For Shanmugam's family, assuming a family of 4, the living space is 5,791 square meters per person. These houses are big enough to put in a swimming pool, tennis court, gym, you name it. You can't even see their house from the gate. But when you open your HDB door, you not only can look right into the kitchen, but also into the unit of the block behind. And this is what really gets me. Roy Ong mentioned in his letter that it would be good to have bigger flats so that our elderly parents and young children can live with us under one roof. But the government rejected the idea. Now listen to what Balakrishnan said about why he wanted to move into the bungalow. He said, we decided to try to bring the entire extended family together under one roof while the grandchildren were still young. This is exactly what I mean by failure in moral leadership, where you enjoy the luxuries in life but deny the people of the same. Land for me, but not for thee. And Singaporeans are not asking to live in huge bungalows. All they want are just bigger flats so that they too can live with their extended families. When you demonstrate such a bankrupt approach to leadership, you lose respect of the people. And when you lose respect, you lose moral authority. History has shown time and again that governments that lose their moral authority will not be able to inspire the peoples to achieve bigger things. And it's not just the size of our property. According to Forward Singapore, it's also the size of our bank accounts. Here, the PAP teaches us that we have to change our attitudes and mindsets about success. It should be less about I, me and mine, and more about we, us and ours. Are you kidding? Minister Ng Eng Hen once said, I will tell you squarely in the face that you are getting a bargain for the ministers you get. Imagine a PAP politician acting like your father and telling you, the voter, squarely in the face. And when Singaporeans call for ministers' salaries to be reduced, Grace Fu Another minister lectured that it may not be wise to call for the trade-offs to be tilted further to an extent that it dissuades good people, presumably she's including herself, from coming forward in future. And what about the incident where a citizen asked for ministers' pay to be cut and the savings used to help the poor? Mr. Goh Chok Tong dressed him down, saying, Again, can you imagine elected officials acting so arrogantly and in such an entitled manner, as if we the people owe them their wealth and power? When it comes to their own pockets, it's I, me, and mine. But when it comes to the common people, people like you and me, it becomes we, us, and ours. There's one word for this. It's called hypocrisy. When you do one thing for yourself while denying the same thing for the people, you lose moral authority. And when you ask the people to change their attitudes, they'll tell you to stick it where the sun don't shine. And this is a serious problem, my friends. The younger generation of PAP ministers have lost their way. And because their moral compass is broken, they cannot find their way back. Moral leadership is not about telling the people that they are with us, for us before the elections, and then after the elections behave like they are our akongs and scold us for wanting to cut their pay. No. Moral leadership is about rejecting the toxic mindset of entitlement where individuals believe that they are owed their positions of privilege. Moral leadership is about abstaining from greed and acting in one's own self-interest. Moral leadership entails the understanding of the essence of public service and recognizing that to be truly representative of the people, one must live among them. Sure, the PAP can continue to use intimidation and clever rhetoric to keep Singaporeans in line. For a time, perhaps. But let me issue this stark warning. The absence of genuine moral leadership will ultimately cause our society to break.